This episode is an ESL listening practice for intermediate learners. You will hear a natural conversation with clear pronunciation and everyday English. No tests, no pressure, just listening. Let's start.
Hello and welcome to another session of EXL listening practice. I am so happy you're joining us today.
It's great to be here.
Our goal is always the same. We're here to help you improve your English listening skills. We do that by exploring interesting, relevant topics, focusing on clear pronunciation.
And of course, breaking down that vocabulary you'll run into in the real world.
Exactly. We generally aim for an intermediate to advanced level. So if you're around a B2 or a C1, you're in the perfect place to really refine your understanding and expand your word bank.
Absolutely.
And today, I'm joined by my co-host and expert guide to help us navigate some of these complexities of language and, well, psychology. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. I always enjoy these conversations because we get to explore not just the mechanics of English, the grammar and definitions,
right,
but also the meaningful ideas behind the words. Language is, at the end of the day, how we understand our own lives.
That's so true.
And today we have a topic that I think is going to resonate with almost every single person listening. It's a topic that touches on psychology, our modern lifestyle, and really the human condition.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Today's theme is something that can feel a bit heavy, maybe, but I think understanding it is actually incredibly liberating.
Oh, for sure.
We are talking about that feeling of losing enjoyment in daily life. And I want to start by asking you, our listeners, a question. Have you ever felt like the hobbies you used to love are just boring now? Maybe you used to love playing an instrument or watching old movies or even just going for a walk at the park. But lately, when you try to do these things, you just feel nothing.
That sense of emptiness.
Yes. If that sounds familiar to you, you are definitely not alone. And today, we're going to explore why this happens and maybe more importantly, what we can do about it.
It's such a common phenomenon. And, there are some specific English terms that describe this state perfectly. Before we really get into the weeds, I'd like to give our listeners a little preview.
A vocabulary preview. I like it.
Yes, just a few key words to listen for. These are words that will really help unlock the meaning of our discussion today.
Okay, let's hear them.
So the first concept is kind of implied by our topic, anhedonia. Now, that's a scientific term. We might not use it constantly, but when we say not enjoying things, that's the medical idea behind it.
Anhedonia. Got it.
The second key word is overstimulation. This is a huge one in our modern world.
I can imagine.
And the third is dopamine, which is a chemical in the brain. So if you just keep your ears open for those three ideas, anhedonia, overstimulation, and dopamine, I think you'll be able to follow the conversation much more easily.
That's a great primer. Okay, let's jump right into this feeling then. The way it's often described is, well, very specific. It goes something like, there was a time when little things made you happy.
Right, like music felt exciting.
Music felt exciting. Movies felt magical. Walk outside felt peaceful. I think we can all remember a time that felt like that.
We can.
But then there's a shift. And the description becomes, now everything feels flat.
That word.
That word flat.
Yeah.
It's so interesting here. I really want us to unpack that because flat is a word with, well, a lot of different meanings in English, isn't it?
You're so right. Flat is a fantastic example of a polysemous word. That's a word with many meanings depending on the context.
Right.
So in a purely physical sense, flat just describes a shape. A table is flat. It has a smooth, level surface, no bumps or hills.
Or if your car tire loses all its air, we say you have
a flat tire.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in that context, flat means something is broken or not working because it's lost its pressure, its structure.
Okay, so there's the physical meaning, and then there's the context of, say, food and drink.
Yes.
If I open a bottle of soda or sparkling water and I leave it on the counter for a couple of days, when I go drink it, all the bubbles are gone. We say the soda has gone flat.
Exactly. And that is the perfect metaphor for the emotional state we're talking about. When we say a person feels flat or their life feels flat, we're using that emotional meaning. It means lacking emotion, lacking excitement. It's lacking those bubbles of joy.
So it's not that you're necessarily sad.
No, not at all. It's not that you're incredibly sad or crying all the time. It's more of an abscess. The excitement is just gone. It's a lack of dimension, a lack of texture.
And the behavior that goes with this is described as you still do the activities, You scroll through your phone, you watch Netflix, you go out with friends, but the satisfaction is missing.
You're going through the motions.
Yes, exactly that. You're going through the motions, but the feeling is just flat.
That distinction is so critical. It's not always depression in the classic sense of deep sadness. It's an absence of joy.
Which leads us directly into, I think, our first big area to discuss, which is the misconception about this feeling. When people start to feel this flatness, what's the first thing they usually do?
They blame themselves.
They blame themselves. That internal monologue, that little voice inside your head, it starts asking some really, really difficult questions.
Yeah.
We often hear people asking themselves, what's wrong with me? And that is such a heavy question. It implies the problem is you. It's internal.
It does. And it leads to this feeling of being broken. Let's focus on that word for a moment. Broken. In English, when we apply this word to an object, like a toaster or a car, it means it's damaged. It needs to be repaired or maybe even thrown away.
Right. It doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't function. So when a human being says, I feel broken, they're expressing this profound sense of damage to their character, maybe even their soul.
Well,
They feel like they're not functioning correctly as a human being. It carries so much emotional weight. It suggests that the defect is permanent or that it's just part of who they are.
but here's the reality check. And honestly, this is the most comforting part of what we're talking about today. The psychological consensus is clear. It is not a personal failure.
That is so important for people to hear.
We need to distinguish between two very different concepts here. Personal failure versus overload. Can you break down that difference for us?
Certainly. Personal failure implies that the result, the flatness, the lack of joy, is your fault because of a flaw in your character.
Like I'm lazy or I'm not trying hard enough.
Exactly. I'm not smart enough. I'm not grateful enough. It's all internal. It's about you. On the other hand, overload is external. Think of a bridge.
Okay.
If you try to drive a truck that's way too heavy onto a small wooden bridge, the bridge might crack or collapse.
Sure.
Now, is that because the bridge is bad or lazy?
No, of course not. It's because the weight was too much for it to handle.
Precisely. That is overload. The argument here is that losing your enjoyment is not a character flaw. It's simply a case of having too much weight, too much pressure to carry. You're overloaded.
I love that. It reframes the whole problem. And that brings us to a really helpful analogy that's used a lot in this area, the muscle analogy.
Ah, yes, this one's great.
I love using analogies because they make these, abstract ideas so much more concrete. The concept compares the brain to a muscle. So if you go to the gym and you lift really heavy weights for, say, 3 hours straight without stopping, what happens to your muscles?
They fail. They get completely exhausted. You reach a point of muscle failure where you physically cannot lift that weight one more time.
And it's not because you're suddenly a weak person.
Not at all. It's because the muscle has been worked too hard and it needs time to recover. It needs rest. The analogy here is that your brain is exactly the same.
Okay.
If you work your brain with too much stimulation, and we should probably define that word, stimulation, your brain gets tired.
So stimulation is what exactly?
Stimulation is the action of arousing interest or enthusiasm or activity in something. In this case, in your brain.
So every time my phone buzzes, that's stimulation.
That's stimulation. Every time you read a news headline, watch a fast-paced video, worry about a bill, listen to traffic, have a stressful conversation, all of it is stimulation.
Wow. Okay, so it's constant.
It's constant. And if you do that nonstop, day in and day out, the muscle of your brain, it stops working well. It gets tired. And a tired brain stops feeling pleasure.
So just like a tired muscle can't lift a weight, a tired brain can't lift the feeling of joy.
That's a really powerful way to look at it.
It takes the blame away from you. You aren't a bad person. You're just a tired person. Your brain is tired.
Your system is tired.
Which brings us to the next logical question. Why are we so tired? What is causing this overload? The cause seems to be that life is simply too fast now.
The shift in pace.
There's this massive contrast between then and now.
The contrast is stark. It really is. If we think back to and it doesn't even have to be that long ago, maybe 20 or 30 years, the brain had natural periods of rest built into the day.
What do you mean?
Well, if you were waiting for a bus, what did you do? You just stood there. Maybe you looked at the trees or the cars going by.
You just waited.
If you were waiting for a friend at a restaurant, you just sat and looked at the wall or the menu. Your brain was idle. It was resting.
And now?
Now, in the modern world, there is no idle. Messages, news, entertainment, it's all constant. There is never a pause unless you consciously create one.
And this brings us to a word that I think defines our generation. instantly.
Oh, absolutely.
In the past, things happened eventually. You'd mail a letter and get a reply next week. Now, everything happens instantly. Let's look at that definition. Instantly means happening immediately, with no waiting.
And we don't just prefer it, we expect it. We expect replies to our text messages instantly. We expect movies to start playing the second we click the button. We expect our food to be delivered instantly.
We've lost the ability to wait.
Precisely. And this expectation of instantly has removed something very, very important from our lives: boredom.
Now, this might sound surprising to our listeners.
I'm sure it does.
Usually we think of boredom as a bad thing. We say, oh, I'm so bored. Like it's a problem we have to solve immediately.
Right. Boredom is the enemy.
But the argument here is that the lack of boredom is actually the root to the problem.
It's a huge paradox.
This is such a fascinating concept. The normal part of me wants to say, but wait, I hate being bored. It's an awful feeling. But the analysis says we need it.
We do. There's a beautiful metaphor that's used to explain this. Boredom is where enjoyment grows.
Boredom is where enjoyment grows. Let's analyze that phrase for a minute.
Imagine that enjoyment is a plant, a flower. For a flower to grow, what does it need? It needs soil. It needs empty ground.
Okay, right.
In this metaphor, boredom is the soil. It's the empty space. It's the quiet potential. Now, what happens if you cover every single inch of a garden with concrete?
Well, nothing can grow. There's no soil left.
Exactly. And that's like filling every moment of your day with TikTok or emails or podcasts. You've paved over the soil. There's no empty space left.
So without the empty space of boredom, the feeling of excitement can't exist.
It has nowhere to grow. You need the contrast. You need the quiet moments to truly appreciate the loud moments. You need the dull moments to appreciate the exciting ones.
If every moment is a 10 out of 10 for stimulation, then nothing feels special.
Your baseline shifts and special becomes impossible to achieve.
That connects perfectly to the next point about availability.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is when everything is always available, nothing feels special.
Yes.
So let's look at the word available. It simply means able to be used or obtained.
Think about the difference between watching a movie today versus going to see a movie 30 years ago.
Okay.
Today, almost every movie ever made is available to you right now on your phone. Because it's so easy to get, so readily available, it feels less valuable.
Less of an event.
Far less of an event. In the past, you had to wait. You had to check the newspaper for showtimes. You had to drive to the theater. The movie was only available at 7 p.m.
And maybe only for a few weeks.
Right. That scarcity, which is the opposite of availability, made it feel special. It created anticipation. When we have 100% availability, we lose that sense of anticipation and value.
That is so true. I remember when I had to wait a whole week for the next episode of my favorite TV show.
Yeah.
The waiting, the talking about it with friends. That anticipation was half the fun.
It was part of the experience.
Now I can watch an entire season in one night, and honestly, I remember less of it. It all just blurs together into one long piece of content.
That blur is a perfect word for it. It's a symptom of what we're discussing. And it's not just entertainment that's causing this. It's also the underlying pressure of life itself.
Right.
And this brings us to our next section, the silent thief. We can call this stress and survival mode.
I like that title, The Silent Thief. It suggests that stress is stealing your happiness without you even noticing.
It's insidious.
And we aren't talking about a major crisis here, are we? Not a car accident or a house fire. We're talking about low-level stress. Can you define that for us?
Low-level stress is like a background noise. It's like a humming refrigerator in your kitchen.
You don't always notice it, but it's always there.
Exactly. It isn't a panic attack. It's a constant humming anxiety. It's the worry about money in the back of your mind. It's the deadline you have at work next week. It's your family responsibilities. It's the uncertainty about the future.
It's not screaming at you, but it's always there, just draining your battery.
Draining your battery is the perfect way to put it. And this constant low-level stress puts the body into something called survival mode.
Okay, this is a biology term, right? Let's get into this concept. What exactly is survival mode?
So survival mode is the body's physiological state when it perceives danger. From an evolutionary standpoint, this system was designed to keep us safe from, predators. A tiger or a bear.
The classic examples.
The classic examples. When the brain senses a threat, it floods the body with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. It gets you ready to either fight the threat or run away from it. The fight or flight response.
That's survival mode.
That's survival mode. Your heart beats faster, your muscles tense up, your senses become sharp. You are ready for action.
Okay, so that makes perfect sense if a tiger's chasing me. But there are no tigers in my office. So why is this a problem for enjoying my life?
Well, the problem is that your brain, your ancient brain, can't always tell the difference between a tiger and a stressful email from your boss. It reacts to the email or the unpaid bill or the argument with a partner as if it were a threat to your physical survival. And here's the trade-off, and this is absolutely crucial.
Okay.
When you are in survival mode, your brain prioritizes one thing above all else: safety.
Not joy.
Not joy. The brain's logic is, we are in danger. This is not the time to smell the flowers or enjoy a piece of chocolate. We need all our energy focused on surviving this threat.
So purely as a survival mechanism, the brain actually suppresses positive emotions.
It does. It said that the brain turns down positive emotions. I want to focus on that phrasal verb, turn down.
Okay, turn down.
It's a very common phrasal verb. Yeah. Literally, we use it for a volume knob on a radio or television. You turn the knob to the left to lower the sound to make it quieter.
Right.
Figuratively, in this context, it means reducing the intensity of an emotion. The brain is effectively turning the volume knob down on your happiness, on your joy, so that you can focus all your resources on the danger, which in modern life is actually just your chronic stress.
That explains so much. It explains why you can be at a beautiful party or on a nice vacation, but if you're stuck in survival mode because of work stress, you can't feel the joy. Your volume is turned all the way down.
Your system is allocating its resources elsewhere. It's a feature, not a bug. But it's a feature designed for a world that no longer exists for most of us.
Wow. Okay, so let's get into the chemistry of this. We have to talk about dopamine burnout. We mentioned dopamine in the intro. Let's define it properly now. What is it?
Dopamine is often called the brain's reward chemical. To put it simply, it's a chemical messenger, a neurotransmitter that makes you feel good when you get something you want or achieve a goal.
So it's a good thing.
Oh, it's essential. It's what drives motivation. Without dopamine, you wouldn't have the motivation to get out of bed or eat or work. When you eat delicious food, you get a hit of dopamine. When you win a game, dopamine. When you get a like on your social media post.
A big hit of dopamine.
A very big, very quick hit of dopamine.
So the problem isn't dopamine itself. We absolutely need it to live. The problem is the overstimulation problem. We listed some of the culprits earlier. Endless scrolling on social media, fast-paced videos, constant notifications, trying to multitask. How do these things burn us out?
Think of your dopamine receptors in your brain like a sponge.
Okay, sponge.
If you pour a little bit of water on a dry sponge, it absorbs it nicely, it does its job. But what happens if you blast that sponge with a high-pressure fire hose for hours?
It would get, overwhelmed, damaged probably. It would stop absorbing anything.
It would stop absorbing. It would become desensitized. Modern digital content is like a fire hose of dopamine. It's hyper-stimulating. It's designed to be. When you expose your brain to this incredibly high level of stimulation constantly, the brain does what it always does. It tries to protect itself. It adapts by becoming less sensitive. It's a process called downregulation. It basically reduces the number of receptors so it's not so overwhelmed.
And that leads to the result where normal, everyday things start to feel boring.
Yes.
I really like the food analogy that's used here. The sugar analogy is my favorite part of the explanation because it's so clear and relatable.
It's a perfect analogy. The idea is this. If you eat candy all day, pure sugar, incredibly high stimulation, and then you try to eat a piece of fruit, like a fresh apple, how will that apple taste?
It'll taste bland. Or even sour, not very sweet at all.
Right, and let's look at those words, bland versus sweet. Bland means having very little taste or flavor. It's mild, it's uninteresting.
But an apple is sweet. Objectively, it has sugar in it. It is a sweet fruit.
Exactly. But compared to a mouthful of pure candy or chocolate, it seems bland. Your taste buds have become desensitized to normal levels of sweetness.
So, the phone is the candy.
The phone is the candy, the endless scrolling, the notifications, the algorithm feeding you exactly what will give you the biggest hit. That's the pure, refined sugar.
In real life, reading a book, having a slow conversation with a friend, walking in nature, that's the apple.
That's the apple. Real life has a lower level of stimulation. It's healthy, it's nourishing, and it is sweet in its own natural way. But if your brain is accustomed to the constant sugar rush of the smartphone, real life starts to feel bland and boring.
That is a scary thought, that we are literally ruining our appetite for reality.
We're recalibrating our brains to a level of stimulation that reality can't compete with.
But thankfully, we have arrived at the solution section of our conversation. And it starts with some very, very good news. It emphasizes one key vocabulary word, which is probably the most hopeful word we'll discuss today. Reversible.
This is the most important word for our listeners to take away. I really want to stress this. Reversible means it can be changed back to the way it was.
It's not permanent.
It is not permanent. You are not broken forever. You can reverse the process. Your brain is incredibly plastic, meaning it can change and adapt. You can resensitize your dopamine system.
That's a huge relief. So how do we do it? Is there an action plan?
There is. And the best part is it's not about making some huge life change like moving to a mountaintop and becoming a monk.
Okay.
It's about small, consistent adjustments. Let's walk through some of them. Number 1, quiet time without a phone.
This brings us back to that idea of boredom, doesn't it?
It does. We need to reclaim solitude. And I want to make a distinction here between the words solitude and loneliness.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, they're often confused. Loneliness is a negative feeling. It's being sad because you feel disconnected or you have no company. Solitude, on the other hand, is the state of being alone without being lonely.
It can be a positive thing?
It can be a very positive, constructive state where you are just with your own thoughts without external input. The action plan suggests deliberately scheduling time for solitude without any digital noise.
Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is deep focus on one task. This feels like the direct opposite of a very common modern habit. Multitasking.
It is the antidote to multitasking. Multitasking, texting while watching TV, while trying to cook dinner. The brain actually hates this. It's not efficient. It's stressful.
Right.
The solution is single tasking. Deliberately do one thing at a time. If you are washing the dishes, just wash the dishes. Feel the warm water, smell the soap, notice the plates.
Be present.
Be present. If you're reading a book, just read the book. Put your phone in another room. This helps the brain retrain its ability to focus, which has been damaged by constant switching.
Okay, that makes sense. Number 3, walking outside. This seems so simple, but why does it work?
It connects us with reality. It gets us out of the digital world and into the physical one. Natural light helps regulate our body clock, and seeing things in the distance relaxes the eyes. It's a low stimulation activity that is deeply restorative.
And number 4 is proper sleep. This goes right back to the muscle analogy.
Absolutely. You have to rest the muscle. Sleep is when the brain cleans out toxins, consolidates memories, and literally recovers from the day.
If you're cutting your sleep short to scroll on your phone for another hour,
you are actively preventing the muscle from healing. You're starting the next day already tired, already overloaded.
Okay, so these steps are simple, but probably not easy.
Not at all. And that leads to the warning. It says, at first it feels uncomfortable. We have to talk about this withdrawal phase.
Right. Uncomfortable is the key word.
Yes. Think about it. When someone stops eating sugar, what happens? They get cravings, they feel grumpy, they get headaches, their body is screaming for the sugar it's used to.
It's the same with this.
It's exactly the same. When you stop the high stimulation fire hose of the phone, your brain will scream for its dopamine fix. You will feel restless. You will feel anxious. You will feel intensely bored.
And you'll think, this isn't working. This feels awful. I need my phone.
And that is the moment where most people give up. It is absolutely crucial to understand that this uncomfortable feeling is normal. It is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that the reset is happening. You have to push through it.
That is really important encouragement. Don't stop just because it feels bad at first. That means it's working.
Exactly.
And if you do stick with it, if you push through that discomfort, we get to the final stage, the outcome, the brain reset.
The return of sensitivity.
Yes, a sensory return. The description is lovely. It says, music feels better. Food tastes richer.
Can we talk about that word richer? Because it's a great vocabulary point. Usually, ESL learners first learn the word rich as the opposite of poor, meaning having a lot of money. But when we talk about food or sensory experiences, richer means having deep, strong, and complex qualities. A dark chocolate cake is rich. The sound of a cello is rich. A deep red color is rich.
So it means more complex and more satisfying.
Exactly. In this context, it means your emotional and sensory experience becomes deeper, more detailed, and more satisfying. The flatness goes away and the richness of life returns.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. There's a final truth. It's like an affirmation for anyone feeling this way. You are not lazy. You are not ungrateful. You are not broken.
Let's quickly define ungrateful. To be ungrateful means not showing thanks or appreciation for the things you have.
Right. And a lot of people feel this. They look at their lives, they have a house, a job, a family, and they feel guilty because they aren't happy. They tell themselves, I am so ungrateful.
But the point here is no, It is not about gratitude. It was not a moral failing. It is about biology. It's about your brain chemistry.
It mentions the nervous system. It says your nervous system just needs rest.
Your nervous system is the body's entire network of nerves and cells that carry messages to and from the brain. It controls everything. Your feelings, your stress response, your 5 senses.
And the conclusion is so simple.
Your nervous system is overheated. It's like an engine that's been running too hot for too long. It just needs to cool down. It needs rest.
So we have covered so much ground today.
Yeah.
We started with that flat feeling, realized it's not a personal failure, but an overload. We understood how instant everything kills our enjoyment, and we've learned how to reset our dopamine levels.
It's been a lot.
Before we go, let's do a quick recap of what we think are the top 5 most important vocabulary words from our talk today.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll start. Number 1 for me has to be flat.
Meaning liking emotion or excitement, like a soda without its bubbles.
Perfect. My number 2 would be overload.
Having too much weight or pressure, which causes a system, like your brain, to fail or shut down.
Exactly. Number 3, survival mode.
The biological state where your brain prioritizes safety over joy because it thinks you're under threat.
Excellent. Number 4 is dopamine.
The brain's chemical messenger for reward, motivation, and pleasure.
And finally, number 5, the most hopeful one, reversible.
Meaning it could be changed back to how it was. It's not a permanent condition.
Those 5 words really tell the whole story.
They really do. Excellent summary. Now, as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a provocative question to think about this week.
Ooh, a challenge.
A challenge, yes. We asked you to think about your hobbies, but here's a specific experiment. If you sat in a quiet room with no phone, no TV, no music, and no book, just you and a chair for 30 minutes, how would you feel?
That is a terrifying thought for many people.
It is. Be honest with yourself. Would you feel anxious? Would you be fidgeting, reaching for a phone that isn't there? Or would you eventually feel a sense of calm? We encourage you to try being bored this week, just for a little bit. See if leaving that soil empty allows some enjoyment to grow back.
It's a difficult experiment, but a very, very valuable one.
Thank you so much for joining us for this session of ESL Listening Practice. We really hope this exploration of psychology not only helped your English vocabulary, but also maybe gave you some tools to enjoy your life a little bit more.
And a little more compassion for yourself.
Yes. Remember, you aren't broken, you're just overloaded. Give your brain a break.
Indeed. Take care of your nervous system and the English will flow even better.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time. Goodbye.